Hey, are you concerned about protecting that brand new pretty sled that you just got? Here's the solution. Use SledSend 24 for a 15% off discount code on some backwoods bumpers, the industry leader in performance protection.
It's funny because where I live, like 10 minutes from where like my family came to Utah, and there is another Justin Bagnell. We're the exact same age.
Really?
Our social security numbers are 2 numbers off.
Whoa.
Yeah, we went to the same college. And they sent me his records, and I got they swapped them, and I was like, I didn't take those classes, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, oh. Well, and it's even funnier because I'm in construction. Yeah. So I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now, working for another national company. Yeah. And their superintendent used to work for that family does construction too, and he used to work for them. Yeah. And so he's like, dude, I call the other Justin all the time, and I'm like, hey, I need you to come down, and he'll be like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, wrong Justin.
That's funny. That's
wrong Justin. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, we're already kind of getting started with this podcast. So SledSend listeners, welcome back to the next episode. Appreciate you guys being here as always, whichever platform you guys are on. And be sure to check out some of the links in the description. There's a ton of discount codes in there. We've got a stacked lineup of companies helping support and push SledSend this season, so be sure to check all that stuff out. So we were kind of already chatting there, but we've got Kobe as always. We are still at Heydays, so disregard some of the background noise.
Pretty quiet right now compared to
it's nice right now
times.
Actually. So
peace.
We have special guest Justin Bagnell here. Justin, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys today?
Good morning.
Morning.
Pretty good. You and I have been back and forth on Instagram for quite a while.
Like a year.
Yeah, at least.
So
at least, yeah.
I think your 3rd episode is when I started listening.
Really?
Yeah.
That's 3. I think that was Cody, because Tom was 2 and Cody was 3, I think. But
I think
so.
So.
That was a while ago.
That was a while.
Yeah, because you didn't come in until episodes 6 or something. I think was your 5 or 6.
I don't remember.
6 one. Anyways, well, that's cool. I appreciate you listening that long.
I have a half-hour drive to work every day, and so I'm always listening to podcasts and stuff. Yeah. And one day that just popped up, we talked about. I know someone else that does it, and I was looking for another podcast. Yeah. Same thing. And I was like, oh, what's this? And just started listening to it. Yeah. And then cool. I had to stop listening for ever because you guys, the way you released them. Yeah. So I would just build them up. Okay. And then listen to them over a week.
Yeah. Just binge through them.
Yeah, just binge
nice.
Through them. Nice. I rebuilt my snowmobile trailer this year. Yeah. And the whole time I was just listening to podcasts in there. Yeah. With my boys. So I have 3 boys, and they're
just focusing. Yeah, you're just doing
the coolest
stuff
ever.
That's so sick.
Dustin, it was when you were doing the climb stuff. So we're just sitting there insulating the trailer, listening to you guys talk to Dustin.
Dude, that was cool. Dustin did it. That guy, he gave one heck of a tour.
Yeah, the climb tour was super sick. It was 5 hours long, and he had said he didn't know if anybody had ever gotten that long.
I don't know. I couldn't believe that there was just so much information, so many stories, so many things to do, talk about, and say about that place. It was cool.
Well, and then he did 2 episodes, almost really 2 hours long each one. So, but yeah, no, that was cool. What was your favorite episode so far? Probably the Smasher ones, maybe. So
Smasher's always entertaining. So.
Yeah. What's your relationship with him? How did you guys meet? Because you guys flip each other some crap, definitely. So
me and Smasher have known each other for 12 years now.
Okay.
So Boondocks, the film company, they're from Utah, and I've always followed them from when they were just small. Yeah. I was a sophomore in high school when they first were starting filming.
Okay.
And when he came on, he would come to the Utah shows, and I was always hanging out, and we'd start talking, and it's funny because the first time we talked, it was both of us, were heavier set and everything, and we got into that because people always be like, how does a dude like you be sponsored and stuff like that? And he was like, that has nothing to do with it. Yeah. And it kind of grew from there, and we both have a very similar personality, and We have kids the same age. Like I actually have two 18-year-olds. So.
Okay. I was gonna ask the age of your kids.
So yeah, I have we're a split family. I have two 18-year-olds and two 16-year-olds. So the year I turn 40, my youngest turns 18.
Okay.
So,
there you go. Nice. Are they into sledding just as much as you, or?
I wish.
Okay.
I wish. Like, yeah, no, they love it. They just my kids are that like, Dad, can we go snowmobiling at 1 in the afternoon? And it's like,
you're like, what?
No, like absolutely
not how it works.
Not. I'm like, I come home at 3, guys. Like by the time we get to the trail, we would have to turn around and come back. You guys realize what time it gets dark in the winter?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, but like I have one, my youngest, he likes it, but like, so like, I it's my big joke with everybody. Like I pull up the parking lot, I always have all my sleds with me.
Okay.
But I have never gotten rid of a sled. So I have an 07 Dragon, I have a 17 Pro, and I have a 21 and my Boost.
Yeah.
And they're all built like my Boost. And so I will open the door and my like friends are like, dude, that's what your kids ride. And I'm like my wife is like, you need to sell sleds. And I'm like, which is even funnier because when I met my wife, as a joke, I don't know how it came up. She like, tell something about you that, and I was like, I will always love my snowmobile more than I love you. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world until we had been dating for 3 years.
And she didn't realize you were telling the truth?
Oh, she did not. She thought it, and still to this day, like, but I have the coolest wife in the world, and it lets me go whenever I want. So I'm on search and rescue. So I'm like, I don't just go riding, like 2 a.m, like phone goes off and we're gone. Yeah. And she accepts it. She loves me. She does not love snowmobiling. Yeah. But like, so that's my whole life is based, like my actual high school ring has a snowmobile on it.
Really?
So I've always been deep into snowmobiling, but like a lot of it comes back from like the original Boondockers, Slednecks, and that's actually how I've met so many people in the industry is through like Boondockers and stuff. I was in Boondockers 16. Okay. So, nice. Like I would go up and shoot with them. I never was like, put me in your film. It was always like, hey, can I come up and like help you guys shoot? Like, can I just be around and
feed off the energy?
Yeah. So and that crew is some of the most amazing riders ever. Like, Chris really hasn't talked about Dan, but he's like
Dan Gardner.
Dan Gardner is hands down, I think, one of the cleanest riders. In the industry. Like just the way he rides, and he's so quiet and he's so humble. Like, but the coolest guy in the world. Like, I love Dan. Yeah. But we always have that joke. Like, Dan will text you and be like, "You want to go riding?" And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter like when it is. It's like Dan texted me, I'm gone. Yeah. But like,
is Dan from Utah too? Or?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So most of what you see like in the films and stuff, like you like Utah and actually my 21 Axis is Jeff Dyer's sled, Fatty's sled. So I bought it from Fatty. So. Okay. But yeah, and we have some of the most epic riding anywhere.
I've heard so much about Utah. I mean, you and I have had a couple conversations about it specifically, but I mean, even just this weekend, Utah's been brought up.
Yeah, it seems like it's in quite a few people's
a lot
book of places they go.
Yeah.
I always hear people like, "Oh, we went to Idaho. And I was like, come to Utah." Come to Utah. Like, and I think it's like it's just far enough for like you guys and like these Midwestern guys. That it's like, well, we could just stop at the Snowies and not drive an extra couple hours. Like my drive here was 19 and a half hours. I was in the truck for 24. Like just me and my dog 24 hours to get here. Yeah. Like, but like they all stop in the Snowies and stuff. I'm like, you guys are missing it. Like I've ridden everywhere except Oregon and California. Those are the only places I haven't snowmobiled.
We should change that.
So, dude,
he's in Cali.
Yeah?
He's from Oregon, lives real close to where we're at, but he works down there in Sacramento.
We set a ride up with Smasher.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
That'd be a cool way to do it.
Yeah. The problem with down there is those I noticed you've got to like when it snows down there, you gotta hit it.
Yep.
And if you do not get it, you do not have like 2 days to think, like 2 days to plan. So it's like for me, it's tough because things purring this morning. It's tough, because it's like my work schedule's so busy, and even during the wintertime, it's like it's tough to say you're going to be at work, and then all of a sudden one night it flips, dumps a bunch, and then my job I'm not able to just leave yet. you know,
freedom
as I please. But up there, it can dump. Gosh, when it does dump, they get like 6 feet at a time.
They got hammered this year. Like,
well, you guys broke a record, didn't you?
we had the most snow ever recorded in Utah.
Yeah.
So like anybody that watches like the Diesel Brothers and stuff,
yeah.
like his cabin, like
I watched that video.
My house looks at the mountain where his cabin is.
Okay.
So like I'm up in like the country of Utah, but I had 5 feet of snow at my house, like.
Jeez.
And in the mountain, like that's what I told. Like I can go a half hour either direction of my house and be in some of the best riding in the world.
Yeah.
Like, and different riding, like big cliffs, big drops, or mellow, like field riding, or you know, so it's just that's the best thing. But our snow is amazing. Like you said, where it like dumps and sets up. Utah, it like dumps, and then it dumps. And then it dumps, and it is just like we call it, like we get our base, but it's not till it's like spring riding where you get a crust. The base is still like a fluffy snow.
Really?
Like I go to Colorado, and Colorado's like, we call it sugar snow in Utah. Like everybody's like Colorado snow, and it's like it's great snow, but I mean like the way you have to ride is so different. Utah has traction. Like you get in our snow, and because we get that like salt water in it, and so it gets kind of heavy but fluffy, and it's like you can get on and off the throttle just like blipping it. Like Colorado, it's like on the throttle, keeping traction, like
just everywhere you're going wide open.
Yeah, and it's just awesome. Like our snow is amazing, and this year was incredible. And like we were talking about like the To Be content ride this year, where we got to bring guys from Alaska, guys from Colorado, you know, Freshies Built was there and stuff like that. And we just took them into some of the deepest, like we literally took those guys and rode super hard 5 minutes from the parking lot.
That's crazy.
Like, there's a spot I always tell people, and we rode there, and you literally are staring at it you never leave sight of the parking lot. And it beat the crap. Like it's like 35 degrees. There's cliff drops, everything. You're literally riding across from the parking lot, and then you're back at the parking lot, and you just rode some of the hardest terrain in Utah.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. That was to be up there with that caliber of like people.
Yeah.
Was freaking awesome.
Oh, I bet. Changing the tune a little bit, because I got a message from you. You were in the parking lot when Search and Rescue was there from Ken Block.
So yeah, I was up riding that day.
Okay.
And we were on the same mountain, so it's we were like from the road. You go up and you turn right and you turn left. So we were actually like parked next to his trailer. So and when we came out, like we know everybody. Like you know, I raced Rimshaw, so like Butch and everybody like that. And we came out, and like all the cops were there. We couldn't figure out what was going on, but we passed one of the rangers that I know really well, and you could just see on his face this, like there's just a look.
Yeah, sure.
And we didn't know what was going on. And then as I was coming out, I saw someone else that I knew that was on, because it was a different county in my search and rescue team. And he told me what happened, and it was like, no, dude, no way.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I tell people, I see like all these people on like YouTube and stuff like posting about what happened. And it's like, dude, that's not like some of their stories. Like, that's not what happened at all. It was just a freak accident, like, you know, and it was sad, but like you could just, like I said, you pulled into the parking lot, and it was just, you just knew something was wrong, but you didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
Like, because he was parked like right at the gate, like his whole crew was parked like right at the gate of the trailhead.
Yeah.
And then like, and you don't have service. You had to like get down into town. So we were like texting people. So like, I'm on the Zebros team, and Zebros, you know, knows them really well. So I was like texting them. I'm like, hey, can you confirm this? And nobody knew yet. It was so fresh. And then it was like, I think it was like someone was like TMZ just reported it or something like that. It was something, and it was like, and then that's when everybody started, like the confirmations came out that it was legit, and it was like, oh, that sucks. Like,
because I think you had texted me the night before, and the next day it was all over social. Yeah, that's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so sad, but like you saw what an impact someone can have on the world. Like it reached the world. We were talking to Brock Butters, Brock Star,
Yep.
and just the other night, and he was like people in like Turkey were talking about it, like a couple days after, like, and it's, you hope you can have that reach to people, but it's like it's awesome. In Utah, that's a big thing because he's from Utah. Like it was like Ken Block's from Utah.
Touched a bunch of kids right there.
Yeah, and he was a good rider. That was the other thing, is like really good rider.
And a really good racer too.
Yeah,
he was really good at
not
a lot
only
of
was he
things.
good on a car, he was good on sleds.
Yeah.
And it just shows you like I take safety and avalanche safety and all that like dead serious. So like I'm Area 2 certified and everything. I've done all that. I've been in an avalanche, and what I do with search and rescue and everything, like it's.
Do you want to let this truck pass here? Keep on rolling. Do you want to touch on your experience with
for a
being
commercial right there
in the put the RSI ad right there.
Hey, what's up, guys? I want to take a quick second to introduce another one of this year's sponsors. We have RSI. So the handlebar setup on your sled is arguably probably one of the most important components on your whole setup. So definitely check out their site. They've got a ton of different products, and use SledSend 24 at checkout for a discount.
You want to touch a little bit about your experience with that avalanche that you just mentioned?
So I was actually, it was 3 weeks after I finished my Area 1.
Okay.
And it's funny because when you're in those courses, they tell you like the people who end up in avalanches are actually people who have more knowledge. So like I have a very good relationship with like the Utah Avalanche Center and everything like that. But we were actually up in Wyoming, and it had just dumped. We were being cautious. There was a couple breaks that we had throughout the day on low level stuff, and we got somewhere where we felt comfortable. And me and a buddy were like, "Let's see." I had a 3-inch. He did. It was when the 3-inch came out with the 155, and it was like we were gonna race up this hill, and we had gone up and down it like 3-4 times, like fine. And we raced up the hill, and I turned out. But when I turned out, I rolled downhill. So I was sitting in like kind of in front of my snowmobile, and my buddy went up and around me, but he got up near the cliff band and broke it. And so I didn't know what was going on. Like, you fall off your sled on the hill, you like start sliding, like just because you're on the hill.
Yeah.
I thought I was just sliding. So I was like, and then it was like, I'm not like stop. And then that's when it came over the radio.
I'm not stopping.
Yeah, the guys at the bottom started yelling on the radio, avalanche, avalanche, avalanche. And then I turned and looked over my left shoulder, and that's when I realized the whole hill was going.
Oh, boy.
And it was just like surreal. Like the coolest thing about the whole thing was on the radio, the guys I was with immediately was like, I've got eyes on him. They were watching me.
They were doing what they were supposed to.
Yeah, and I ride with people purposely that like, do you have beacons? I won't go with you, and I always have extras. Like I've got an extra, and it's like, do you know how to use it? Like I take it seriously.
Sure, as everybody should.
Absolutely. Like you just shouldn't be in the backcountry without it.
Yeah.
Period. The end.
Yep.
So, but like, yeah, they were watching me, and the craziest part about it was I was floating on it, and I reached up and grabbed my trigger, and I just sat there and held on to it because it was back when you had to like get a new canister. And I was just like, oh, what if I don't, like, what if it slows down? And I can still go through that process in my head of the thought process. Do I need to pull this? Like, and so I didn't pull it, and I could feel it starting to slow down. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm good. And then next thing I know, I was like, I couldn't move. I was buried like halfway under my sled, it was like being in concrete. I couldn't move. And so I've got pictures of my sled like half buried, and they came up and dug out from around my sled, and like, so I just got buried up to like my shoulders, but like,
yikes,
not something I ever want.
Oh no,
ever want to do again.
No.
So, but
well, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. That's I don't know. There was a big one in Utah last year that people like ripped the guy in social media about. He's on a Skidoo. So that's actually my buddy Cooper, and he called me and he's like, hey, this just happened. He said, should I share it? And I was like, absolutely.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely share it. And he's like, really? Like, you think I should? And I was like, dude, you have to share it because you're going to, and I told him, you're going to get crap. You are going to get crap, but the ability for people to see what you did and see what happened is going to be bigger than the crap you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And he shared it, and he got crap, but I was like, because it was like, you watch the video and people were like, oh, you should have been on that hill and stuff. I would have hit that hill. Like, it was late in the season, it was heavy, the avalanche danger wasn't like, but he just crossed, it's kind of the same as mine, crossed a rock band, and when he crossed that weak point, it came down. He didn't even know it broke until he had turned around, because he actually rode above it and didn't know it broke until he was pointed back downhill, and then it was like, oh my gosh, there's an avalanche below, and he couldn't stop, so he just rode into it.
I don't know if I've seen that video.
Yeah.
Did you see
I'll
it?
show. Oh yeah.
It's a big one, and I ride with him all the time. Like, he's a good buddy of mine. That's who we ride with all the time. So it doesn't matter, you know.
It can happen to anybody at any time, really.
So Craig Gordon from the Utah Avalanche Center, like one of the coolest guys in the world, but it's the Avalanche Dragon. You know, it always makes me laugh. That's what he says. It's the Dragon, and it comes for anyone.
Yeah.
The experience doesn't matter. Yeah. Like last year we had a guy in Utah get buried, and he was like 20, 30 feet deep or something like that. It was crazy. So I used the iProbe. Have you guys seen the iProbe?
Mm-mm.
So the Peeps iProbe actually has a receiver on the tip of the probe. Okay. And then it has it like beeps on the top, just like your beacon would.
I think, yeah.
So as you drive your probe, it goes off when you get within a certain, like, it'll go solid when you get a beep.
Strike.
So they ended up, like, it's funny because everybody gives me like crap about it. Oh, you know, the iProbe, blah blah blah. So they actually used the iProbe to find this guy. So because he was so deep, it helped him get direction. Yeah. And the reason I have it is when we did our Area 2, you have to do the multiple burial rescues, and we do everything with Brett Rasmussen.
Yep.
But they went up and they had 3 burials, and you had to do them in a certain amount of time. And my buddy had one, and he freaking murdered all of our times. He just like, boop, 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 solid, dig there, jumped on a sled, took off. Someone else got it on their beacon, boop, 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 went solid, dig there, took off, went over to there. And it was like, and now we use it in search and rescue, and most of the guys I ride with have them, and it's such a cool tool. But again, like, if you don't know how to use it, it's worthless. Yeah, and so that's what I tell everyone. Like, my kids, since they were like 10 years old, like in like spring and leaves, I would go throw beacons out there and just let them go find the beacon. So my kids all know how to use beacons, all know how to dig. Good. So and that's the biggest key. But and where we ride, it's, you know, everything's steep and deep. Some of the stuff we ride in, like, I actually can go riding like 5 minutes from my office, but to get to the stuff, you have to ride through avalanche terrain on the trail to get there. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. It's that risk. And some of the places we go to too, you've got certain zones where we're like, all right, one at a time. Literally, it's called the Avalanche Hill. The whole town calls it that. It's like, don't mess with it. Don't go up on it, you know. Yep.
There's nothing to mess with, that's for darn sure.
Yeah, we have a hill like where my county is, search and rescue is, that we call Whiskey Hill. And it's the only hill that really avalanches up there. And it's like, we actually have come out on the hill, like, guy was sitting on the side of the trail, sled was packed full of snow. He's like, oh yeah, Whiskey just avalanched. And we were like, why were you even near that hill today? Like, no avalanche gear. Like, I'm still shocked today coming off the hill, talking to people, because people will stop me and talk to me and stuff like that, because we have a big sheriff's badge on the front of our sleds. Yeah. And no avalanche gear still to this day. Like, I'm like, I don't care if you have an airbag, like, you know, those are spendy. But, like, everybody should have a beacon, a probe, and a shovel. Yeah, yeah. And I always tell people that. I'm like, it's not about you. Like, what if you roll up on someone else that needs you? Mm-hmm. What if they, you know, don't have a beacon or don't know how to use it, or that, like, you roll up, most people are in a panic. Like, freaking out. We practice that like, stop, settle, control the situation, and then start searching. Yeah. So we actually did a huge thing where we brought all the search and rescue teams in Utah up to our area this year. Okay. And did a training, and we actually had that situation where the Utah Avalanche people had some people there, and she was like, when I did it, like, I was part of the group, and Mark Staples, who's over Utah Avalanche Center, this girl pretended like she was deaf. But they didn't tell us that situation. So I'm sitting there, and she, as soon as I pulled my probe, she knew I had an iProbe. So I start probing, and it starts going off, and she comes up and she starts throwing my probe. Like, she's losing her mind. She's pulling it back out and throwing my probe, and we have to guess what's going on. And finally I realize that she's pretending to be deaf. So like she was that whole like panic situation, and we had another guy that was doing the same thing, and it was like finally it was like okay, like again I had a controller, I had to sit her down. It was one of the coolest things we've ever done. Like you want to do like a real life like simulator, you go with Mark Staples from the Utah Avalanche Center, because he will go nuts like out of nowhere. He'll just start freaking out. Oh my gosh, avalanche! And like it catches you off, even though you know it's coming. It catches you off guard. Yeah. Like we did it once, and I took off without my backpack, my shovel, and everything. Like even with all my training, it was like, go, oh my gosh, go. But like, and in that situation, I just stopped and I grabbed someone else's shovel, or I like grab your beacon. You grab your beacon and you tell that guy to probe, shovel, like get everybody ready, and that's and that's part of that, like practice with your friends, practice with your riding buddy. I want to know if I go riding with you tomorrow, if I get buried, you get me home to my family.
Exactly.
So, and that's what it's about. So,
yeah. Well, we need to do another episode because we've already hit our 30-minute mark, so we need to stay on schedule. Justin, you've got a wealth of stories. So we'll just have to put something together, a ride with Smasher or something in California, Oregon, or even down with you or something.
Yeah, dude. Hey, anytime you want to come to Utah, I'll set you up at the cabin and we'll go ride. So
that'd be sick. That'd be so cool. Okay, so I think you probably know what my next thing is.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tyler with SledSend. Wanted to take a second of your guys' time and ask for your guys' support for what we're doing with the brand of SledSend. So if you guys are enjoying, the podcast episodes with all the different guests, the tour videos and such, check out SledSend.com. We have a variety of different merch. Every order comes with air fresheners and stickers. And like I said, we appreciate your guys' support. We need it to continue to do this. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
You've been listening to these for a bit. So what is your question that you would like to ask the listeners and viewers?
What I want to know is, we were talking about this earlier, is like everybody's good now, but why doesn't the younger kids send it anymore? Our younger kids and our YouTube generation don't send it. Like, where's the big drops? Where's the huge sends? Where's the backcountry freestyle?
Yeah,
I want it back. Like, I want the films back. And for everybody out there, if you don't realize it, Tubi just launched this weekend. Our licensing deal with SledNex. SledNex is back.
Yep.
So, and
that's so cool.
Huge.
Plug it. The Tubi guys, the best gear in the market, and now we got freaking SledNex. So
I've been a SledNex fan.
I've been walking around and I hear people like they didn't quite know what the story was, and they were seeing stuff that was back. Their Instagrams, new posts and stuff.
I've followed them on Instagram for probably, I don't know, ever since I had Instagram. They were my first people that I followed. I tagged SledNex on everything, and there was just nothing for a while because it kind of went dormant. Yeah. And then that's what I talked to a couple guys. They're like, "It's back, it's back, man."
Yeah. So that's cool. Come down and check out my sled. So
I did.
You came out.
Yeah. We didn't see you around.
I totally forgot to. I was gonna compliment you on that, and then you said something about the sheriff's badge on it. And I was gonna say, yeah, dude, the sheriff's badge looks good with the warden on the back of the tunnel.
Yeah. If you ever see me, so Kevin, my sled's name is Kevin. So
all those little minions are so funny. Because at first I didn't even recognize it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, that's a sick sled, and then all of a sudden I'm like, that's got minions all over it.
Little purple minions.
Yeah, it's super dope. Yeah, it's a cool sled. Well, let us know your answers in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. But Justin, if you would do the honor of signing our banner, you can, maybe if you want, you could cross off Smasher and write yours on top.
Oh man, that'd be funny.
Or something. But SledSend listeners, thank you guys for tuning in on this episode. We will catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.